Hi, my name is Sherilyn Dorsey, and I am creator and founder of You're More Than Their Mother. And I teach entrepreneurial moms to reclaim, realign, and rebalance their lives and go after their dreams. So I'm so excited again today because today I am talking about guilt. In keeping with this theme, I'm specifically talking about mommy guilt and projecting that off onto our loved ones and friends. Um, I want to talk about how it is that we do that. And if you haven't already, please do catch up with the other videos that I've talked about on guilt and how it's affecting our lives, how it's affecting us in our personal lives and business lives. That should bring you up to speed to today and guilt and projecting that guilt. So when I talk about guilt and projecting the guilt off onto other people, as I spoke about in my previous videos, guilt is something that we feel when we hold ourselves to a standard that we feel like we're not matching up to. And when we do that, very often, the standard that we're holding ourselves to is not always our standard. It's very heavily influenced by either our upbringing, our environment, or friends and family who are around us, or someone we've seen by what it is, us judging what it is that they're doing and thinking that we should be doing the same thing. However, I assert that we need to create our own standard of living, no matter how good or how bad our past was, establish what it is that we want in our lives and go from there. I believe that's one way that we can release a lot of the guilt that we're harboring that really manifests itself in our life as frustration. So in speaking on that, I want to go right into today. When we have that guilt and that frustration, very often we want other people to feel the same rub that we do, right? Or the same frustration that we do, unfortunately. And if you're of this world, I'm sure at some point or another, you've heard the phrase, misery loves company. And in reality, when we're feeling guilty and it's manifesting itself as frustration, that's a miserable feeling because we know the contrast, right? We know what happiness feels like. We know what joy feels like. We know what gladness feels like. We know what contentment feels like. And to feel guilty and frustrated is very often or can be used in the same context as misery almost. So we want other people to feel the way we do, unfortunately. And subconsciously, we will project that onto them. Sometimes not only subconsciously, but consciously. Think about it like this. Have you ever told someone, and I'll just use my own example. I remember, if you've been following me for a while, you know, I talk about how I went through a phase where I was trying to do everything for my family, right? I thought that I had to be the Claire Huxtable or June Cleaver of my household, and I needed to have the dinner done, and we were sitting at the table by 6 o'clock and breakfast on the table by a certain hour, et cetera, et cetera. Well, when I finally got to the point, or actually even before I spoke my truth, which was that I really, really strongly dislike cooking, to my husband, I used to try to make him feel guilty for really tried to make him feel guilty because I felt guilty for not cooking. So if I had to say, for example, run the children to the doctor that day, or maybe we were just outside on a play date, or maybe it was just a rough day at home, no matter what it was, if my husband came home and said something like, "Hey babe, what we having for dinner tonight?" or "I noticed you didn't cook," man, I would pour this huge guilt trip on him, saying things like, "Don't you know what I've been doing all day? You don't even appreciate it. You know, I've been behind the kids all day. This one wasn't feeling well, or we've been to this play date, or, you know, we had to go to the doctor." And I piled on basically all of these excuses to make him feel bad for even asking me about something it is that I never spoke up and said I didn't like doing. Something that I felt guilty for because, again, I was holding myself to my parents' standard, right? To my mom's standard, who used to cook all the time, outstanding, delicious food for us. And so I tried to make him feel bad because I was feeling bad about it. And I was feeling bad because of what I used to judge my now on with the past, right? So it was really a downward spiral, if you will. And what I'm realizing and what I notice in a lot of people it is that I talk to, again, I'm talking about moms specifically. And I know as women, we have our own weight and our own issues to carry, but I just do feel, and I know for sure that as moms, we have an additional layer of issues it is that we are addressing on a daily, and that we are looking to eliminate, reduce, or even eradicate totally from our lives. And what I see in these women, I really see my old self in them. I really see my old self. They're carrying around this frustration and this anger and this guilt because they've allowed an older part of their life that no longer serves them to be a standard in which they set against themselves. And because they feel like they're not living up to it, they're going to make everyone else around them feel the pain of it, right? So that they can garner the sympathy or the understanding, whatever the case may be, it is that they need in order to be okay. And that's really not okay. That can be detrimental, not only in your personal life, because of course, if you're around and you're always projecting your guilt off on other people, people are going to catch on. People are not going to take lightly to you jumping down their throat, if you will, or having these combative conversations with them when they don't even really know what it is that's bothering you, because we haven't decided to speak up and speak our truth. We're holding and harboring this guilt, and just projecting it out. So not only does it affect you personally, it also affects you in business. Because in business, you cannot show up as your full, authentic self if you are harboring a guilt. That means that you are holding back from your clients, right? Without even knowing it many times. Because of course we set out in our businesses with the absolute best intention. But if we're feeling guilty, angry, frustrated, or miserable about something, we're not showing up in a way that we should. We're canceling on times that perhaps we normally wouldn't. We're showing up late. Because again, we have these ill feelings and we're addressing this issue that it affects literally our timeliness. It affects our attitude, and that affects our energy. And our clients and our prospective clients feel that. And it's actually a repellent. And once again, what that equals is you leaving money on the table that you don't have to. So I'm telling you that guilt affects you in more than ways that are just emotional. It affects you physically and financially, just as I've been talking about again in those videos before. So I hope you understand what it is that I'm telling you today. I hope you definitely get the examples that I'm using about projecting guilt onto other people and how it's detrimental to your relationships and to your business. And I hope that we can get that changed. I do have a mentoring program. It's called SOAR Mentoring Program, where we address issues like that. I give you tools to use to replace those issues of guilt. It is that you have, again, eradicating those old negative thoughts that you have about yourself, replacing those thoughts with productive, affirmative statements and tools that you can use and change and shift in your everyday life. You create better relationships, you create better businesses, which ultimately leads to more money. So if you're interested in that, definitely go and check out my website at www.you'remorethantheirmother.com and look at that SOAR mentoring program. We are starting just after Labor Day, which is September 5th. If I'm not mistaken, I will be starting my next class into that SOAR mentoring. So if you're interested, definitely go there. And if it serves you, share this video with other people, with other moms in particular, especially us moms who are looking to start our businesses and thrive in our businesses, because we want to remove all barriers that are keeping us from realizing our full potential financially, emotionally, and physically. Alrighty, so I am going to get out of here. I appreciate you joining me. If you are watching this on the replay, leave me a comment. Let me know what it is that you think about this. If you've ever done this or how it is that you're getting over it. Okay, and I will respond personally. But until we meet again, it's time to move beyond everyone else's expectations of who you ought to be and become the woman you thought that you could be. Bye.